Is there advice you have for complete beginners, for white belts that are starting jiu-jitsu, that are listening to this, that haven't done jiu-jitsu? I know there's a lot of people who are super curious to start. Is there advice you would give them on their journey?
Yeah. I'm just going to talk about just getting better on the mat, okay? Because there's 1,000 other things you can talk about in terms of like morale and persistence and how often they should train. There's 1,000 things you get.
Break up with your girlfriend or boyfriend. That's one. No, I'm just kidding. Let's put that aside.
That's probably the best advice we could give. It goes back to what we said earlier. I always advocate start your training from the ground up. Okay, your first sessions in jiu-jitsu, you're going to find, to your horror, that everyone gets on top of you and you can't get out. And it's a dispiriting, crushing kind of feeling that you just have no skills and you have no prospects in the sport. So your first skill is the skill of being able to free yourself from positional pins. Most of the escapes in jiu-jitsu go to guard position. And so once you get someone in your guard, they're going to be looking to pass your guard and get back into those positional pins that you just escaped from. And that's just as crushing as getting pinned. You feel like every time you try to hold someone in guard, they just effortlessly pass you by. So your first two skills, you got to be able to get out of any pin and you got to be able to hold someone in your guard. So pin escapes and guard retention are your first two skills. I generally advocate the idea of learning to fight from your back first and then learning to fight from on top second. Why? Because the brute fact is when you first start off, you just don't have enough skills to hold top position or gain top position through a takedown. So inevitably, you're going to end up underneath people for most of your training time. Your training should reflect that in the early days as a white belt. Start with the first two skills you need. They're not the most exciting. They're not sexy skills that are going to make you look like a stud in the training room, but they're going to keep you alive long enough to learn those sexy skills in the future that will make you look like a stud. Start with pin escapes, go to guard retention, and focus heavily on those two. When you start to get into offense, start with bottom position. So there's a clear continuity between your pin escapes, your guard retention, and then your guard itself. Okay? You've got different options with guard. Some of you are going to like closed guard. Some of you are going to like variations of open guard. Some of you are going to like to be seated. Some of you are going to like to be supine. Some of you are going to like half guard. As a general rule, this is a heavy generalization, but I'm going to give it to you. In my experience, most people benefit the most by starting with half guard first. I know that traditionally jiu-jitsu has been taught closed guard first and then all the other guards come after that. I'm a big believer in the idea of start with pin escapes, then go to guard retention, and then start with half guard bottom. That way you get a nice continuity between your first three skills and you make good progress over those first critical 6 months in jiu-jitsu.
What does it take to get a black belt in jiu-jitsu?
Very little. Just show up, pay your fees. Don't set your goals low, okay? Don't even ask yourself that question. No one cares if you got a black belt, okay? The only thing that counts is the skills you have. I know plenty of black belts that suck, okay? There's a lot of them out there. Don't lower your standards by saying, I want to get a black belt. Ask yourself something much more important. How good do I want to be? You want to be damn good, right? You want to do something, invest time in, you want to be the best you can. Wearing a belt around your waist doesn't guarantee that. Build skills, focus on that.